I do want to welcome in our next guest, though, joining us, Suzanne Porske, founder of Phoenix Financial Group. Suzanne, good morning to you. Great to have you back on the show. Now, you say the first half of the year was driven by three themes. Can you take me through what they are, please, and if you think they're going to remain in the driver's seat for the second half?
Okay, so we saw the AI. That was a big theme. We also saw expectations around interest rates, everybody having this whole hype about interest rates and inflation, and then a search for good quality companies. And just kind of coming off of what you were just talking about with him, there are people that are out there anticipating and looking for these good, solid companies. I think it's going into the AI infrastructure as we're seeing. People are realizing that it's not just the next biggest and greatest thing, kind of like when we had websites come out. Websites, they have that flashbang thing that goes on, but then what runs all of it, and that's what the AI infrastructure, that's where I'm seeing people really taking the last half of this year, because there's so many of us talking about it, and there's so many people, so many companies that are coming out for it.
So as we look at that setup, has this created an environment, Suzanne, where we just need to be much more selective? It's not really a broad AI play anymore, is it?
No, it's not a broad AI play anymore. And you're right. They are more selective. And so, Marley, I like to talk to people about what's really going on. We have the baby boomers, who are the largest group of people that have ever had this huge wealth transfer go on. They're born between 46 and 64. So they're 62 to 80 years old. So let me just tell you what I'm seeing across from my conference table. Predominantly women, because women are outliving men. So the women are taking a hold of these portfolios that their husbands had highly diversified and going, okay, I want to talk about what matters, what's going to take place in the next 10 years. I want to be on that side of it, not maybe on the big flashbang and all that was going on 10, 15, 20 years ago where they could write all of it. They're off of the accumulation, and now they're in that, I want to be selective. I want security. I want to know what's going to last. I want to make sure that it's not just for me, but for future generations. And for all that building up to it, we had these men that were just really concentrated on their spouse. They just wanted to make sure their wife was going to be okay. The women are saying, okay, I want to make sure that my kids, my grandkids, my fur baby, my churches, all of this are going to be okay. And with that, I need that stability. I need that structure. And I want something that's just not going to be all over the place, not the latest and greatest. They want what's underlying. And that's where I go into my three sectors that we talk about, which is infrastructure, it's energy, because electricity is going to power this huge movement that's going on. And then banking. We can't forget banking. And if I had to pick a fourth, healthcare, because our 62 to 80-year-olds that are taking on this 80 plus trillions of dollars that's transferring right now, they're now, well, they're not taking it on, they're receiving it. They're getting into that healthcare space. So they need those products and those in that lifestyle.
And Suzanne, before we jump into the ones that you favor, I want to ask about memory, because you say something really interesting in your notes. You said this is not a market where you want to chase yesterday's winners. You talk about planning ahead, having diversification, and exposure to the long-term trends that are changing our economy. I know we talk specifically about gender-based investing, and when you look at women and them being more cautious investors, generally with a longer-term focus, because we're thinking about protecting our kids and everyone around us who's important to us, is there a way to play these memory names that fits into the investment thesis for the average female investor, knowing how volatile it is and that it isn't necessarily an infrastructure play here?
So I'm going to go back to what I've said, like the rule of 100. Whatever their age is, I'm subtracting that from 100. And that's that safe money. That's that money that really should have a zero floor. So if they're 70 years old and they're sitting across from my conference table and we're discussing it, 70% is going to be safer. That 30%, we can talk about those memories. We can talk about those other stocks. They're not counting on it. And then that changes every single year. And as this money and as these trillions are transferring, that's where we're going to see this happening more and more, where they're going to get more conservative. They're still going to be playing in that field like you're talking about with the volatility, because the next generation is what they're building for.
And Suzanne, I had a very interesting conversation yesterday with someone about these Trump accounts and how this was going to create a new next-gen investor, as these kids will already be invested with this money releasing when they're 18. And the goal is to create new capitalists. How are you looking at that? So much of your focus is in this wealth transfer, and we're about to have another generation with access to money that we didn't have.
Man, we have to educate them, because education is empowerment. And my daughter just opened it for my granddaughter, who was born in that time frame where they're allowed to have that Trump account. Education, education, education. And I don't think we do a good enough job at it. That's where I go back to educating the people who will be leaving the money. I ask them, bring in these next generations. It's sad to me that it's very hard for children and kids to go into a bank anymore and take that piggy bank where we used to open it up and they'd open a bank account and we could teach them. Now it's all digital. So I'm saying, okay, let's meet them where they're at digitally and let's teach them. Let's make this a common conversation, because you're right. All this money is going to them. And now, like we've said, they're coming up. They've already got money put in an account. If they're born in 2025, they've got these Trump accounts. And then we've got people, I think it's SpaceX, that is giving them now a share. And I'm excited for it. I'm glad we're doing that, but we have to empower them through education.
I opened my daughters yesterday after that conversation. It was my reminder, but let's take a moment to educate here since we have you. If I'm in your office and I'm sitting in my position at my age with my young daughter, how do I protect what I've built, and how do I create a legacy that lasts beyond me?
You do estate planning first and foremost. You get that in place, because whatever you build, if you don't have a solid foundation, you don't have a trust in place, you don't have somebody that's going to be an executor to execute your wishes, then it's all for nothing. So that's the first step we do, is say, where are you at right now? Do you have that all in place? Do you have that foundation? Then we go into their medical directives, durable power of attorney. Then we go and we start talking about your longevity and your family, your time horizon. Is mom and dad, when did they transition? Are they still alive? Grandma, grandpa, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, what time frame are we talking about? Everybody's time frame is totally different. Then we start planning, what do you want this to look like? What happens right now, Marley, if you were to pass away unexpectedly? In that trust, is it set up that your daughter receives all the money that her person that receives it, because she can't until she's 18, receive it? So we just go from there and we just start building that plan out.
All right. Well, I am feeling pretty put together after that talk. I have most of those things in place, but I really appreciate you bringing your insight into the show today again, Suzanne. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Suzanne Porske, the founder of Phoenix Financial Group. Thanks again for joining us.